Hey, so today I'm just going to be editing some of my photos. I photographed a wedding this past Friday, and even though the whole quarantine thing is going on, this is a couple that was originally going to have a really big wedding, and they got coronaed, so they wound up doing a small backyard wedding at the house of some friends that they know from church, and they're some close friends of ours. We have known them for a couple years now, and it's, we knew them before they were even dating, so pretty cool. But Kristen and Gabe, I'm editing their photos today, if that means anything to anybody, and just figured I'd take you along as I'm doing that. Hopefully everything is recording properly, and let's just go ahead and hop over to Lightroom and do it. So, I'm already like almost halfway through, probably a third the way through, and I can just tell that due to where my this little bar thing is at when I have my current photo selected. The day after their wedding, I got them 250 sneak peeks, which is a lot of sneak peeks. And could I have done less than that? Yes, but I was super excited about their portraits, and also I really wanted to give them some from every moment. So I pretty much edited the whole reception already. Look at this. Pretty photo, man. So when I do so many sneak peeks, it's really helpful to get one from every single moment of the day, if that makes sense. So one of her getting ready in this room, one of her getting her makeup on, one of at least a couple from the ceremony, stuff like that. And the thought behind that is just that when I import the full gallery, I'll have already edited one from every single thing, and it made it super duper easy where I could go through the gallery. I don't know what's happening here, but essentially if this one I have selected, 663, was already edited from sneak peeks, and I imported 662, select that, and then Command-Shift-S to sync it. I always turn off local adjustments, transform, crop, and spot removal. And then what? Oh, it's because I use Flash here. Okay, sorry. Boom. Boom. Not the best example. Roll with it, Zach. Roll with it. Whatever. Anyway, so essentially it just helps me save some time, because then instead of editing in the moment and seeing how many photos I need to sync settings across and how many are super similar, I'm able to just do one and then sync as I feel. So that saves me a bunch of time. So yeah, let me scroll back to where I was, and we'll continue on our journey. I always try to... Their wedding was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's 4 days after their wedding right now, and I think I'm going to have them their photos today, which is my goal. Definitely within 5 days, or a week, So I'll go ahead and go over to the DVLOP tab, just because editing doesn't take too long, and I think so often as photographers, if we start off as photographers letting ourselves take our maximum amount of time allotted in the contract to go ahead and turn around photos, then it's going to take us forever, and we're never going to catch back up. Wow, good work, Zach. So anyway, I have been using Jose Villa's presets from the DVLOP presets. They're called For the Love of Film, and they're super dope. I was using the Maston Labs presets to emulate film, and let me show you before and after. This is Maston, and this is Jose Villa. Now, could I go around and probably even saturate this a little more? Probably, but I'm really liking the clean look of it. There we go, just turning my monitor up. Cool. So I'm just gonna try to speed round through this. Usually I like to keep my mouse on the straighten thing, because I am just awful about straightening images. And by that, I mean I'm terrible at shooting them level from the beginning. He's making a funny face. Classic. So, as this was a small wedding in the backyard, they had to they zoomed in a lot of people. Like they had a Zoom meeting, whatever you call it, running. So a lot of people got to watch online, which is really cool because, like I said, it was going to be a really big wedding. Sometimes I like to just click before and after. You can do that with this key, the / key. It's really good. And if I'm ever feeling like stuck on a photo, that'll kind of help to like reset my brain. Bam. Now all day, it was supposed to be rainy, right? And then all day at this wedding, it wound up being sunny until the exact ceremony. It got cloudy. And it got that kind of cloudy that's not necessarily like, oh wow, it's overcast. Let me interrupt myself real quick. This one has a good chunk of motion blur. Shot at 1/200th, but he was moving, she was moving, and they were just out of focus anyway. And kind of my rule for that is whenever I have a photo with like motion blur or that's like a little out of focus, just make it black and white. That, and if I just cannot get colors to work, are the two situations where I make a photo black and white. So let me show you right here. These are meant to be a panorama, these three. So I'll select all three of them, and I did that by holding Shift and hitting the arrow, and then I hit Control M, and that pulls up the Merge Images prompt. And you can see how fast that is to just, it stitches them all together. And it can auto crop in because obviously as I'm spinning, not all the photos are gonna show all the stuff. So ideally I would have taken a photo up here and to get down here or whatever. You can hit fill edges and it might work okay since the ground is, you know, solid green. That actually worked really well. And the sky is pretty much the sky. So you know what, we're actually gonna go for it. But let's make sure we like this projection the best. That's kind of weird. Looks about the same. I like to try all of them out. And then you see the progress bar up here is just, it's just building it because I think it takes more memory to actually do it. Madison, who's my wife, just texted me that one of her songs that is on Spotify that she sang with our church, is at 349,000 listens. So my wife's pretty cool. I don't know. Boom. And then you know what, and we'll drag this in just a little bit. Cool. Boom. Wow. And this one, you know what, I'm gonna make it black and white. So interesting thing with these presets from Jose Villa is you have like 47 different versions of all the different film stocks where they were done with a different scanner or they're meant to be like the smooth kind of soft version. With the black and whites, you have ones that have a deep black and a, I guess, not deep black, like a flat black. So what I like to do actually is I will go change the tone curve because they give you a cajillion of those too and change it to the wrong film. So I like the Delta 3200 deep black film better than like the HP5 plus 400, but I like using the tone curve of the HP5 plus 400 with the Delta. So not often, I don't usually crop stuff too much. So low bright, but see what I mean about it being kind of, it got kind of overcast where the light is just kind of funny. And it's not bad. I think the photos are still really pretty. And a lot of my approach when I'm editing wedding photos isn't, I need to have every setting totally perfect. A lot of times it is to do speed because I think a lot of work can get you from like 0 to 90% perfect, and then the remaining 10% or remaining even 5%, depending on how your math works, just might not be worth it. And that's not to say that I don't like try super hard for my couples. I just mean that every photo you could spend 5 minutes on, but if you're gonna do that, then it's gonna take you forever to do anything. That's another thing about the overcastness. It made the grass a funny green. Even if I reset this, I think. Still just like it, something about the light made it kind of like a yellowy, warm green. Don't know why. Kingdom of Isolation. Looks like ooh. Okay, so see this aqua color along the fence and this pink color? I'll zoom in more. This pink color along the text. If you're not familiar, that's called chromatic aberration. And so I was using this lens, the Canon 50 1.2, and essentially chromatic aberration is where along points of contrast, light bounces around in the lens funny or discolors, and so that's why it usually only comes in like a pinky purple or like a greenish bluish. And see how it's right along edges of things, like the wood's not pinky purple, but right where it goes from white to wood contrast, there's that. So what you can do is you can scroll over on the right to lens corrections and hit manual, and then use this little eyedropper tool, and then find you some purple. And see how it just takes it right out? But we're gonna need to look out for something. Gone. Okay, but you always wanna check when you're doing this to make sure that you're not taking out all kinds of skin tones and stuff. Because if you could see maybe her lips, for instance, and maybe she had like a more mauve, kind of like purple lipstick on, sometimes it'll take that out. Because essentially what it's just doing is desaturating that specific like tone. And so always make sure that it's not affecting like faces, since the purpley is sometimes found on people's like face and body. Also, you might notice as I'm editing that a lot of these photos are kind of similar. And it's not that I'm afraid of under-delivering. I more just want to be sure that they have the shot from one moment that they would really like, if that makes any sense. So since I'm not them, I'm not gonna know, if they would prefer them looking one way or them looking the next way. Because it can be a split-second difference between two moments. But maybe one, they feel really good about how they look in it, and the next they feel, really not happy with how they look in it. And so I just always want to deliver like both of any given moment if I get like two that are pretty similar, just so that I'm positive that they will have the option. And there's a lot of photographers that would be like, oh, Zach, but that weakens your overall gallery. The average quality of your gallery is only equal to like your worst image or something like that is what everybody says. Let me make sure I'm still recording on the camera. Cool. Hey Siri, set a timer for 14 minutes.
Your timer is set for 14 minutes.
Thanks. That way I'll know to restart my camera when it ends. Oh no, but what I was saying is that I would rather be sure that they have the photo that they really love, rather than me like make the gallery more tight or whatever. because I don't think any client is looking at their gallery and saying, he gave us too many photos, and I definitely have the best one from any moment, in their opinion. Okay. See, I'm gonna take this one out, because I bet they won't care for that action shot of them going in for a smooch. Careful about bright, cloudy days. As I was talking a little bit earlier, there's Overcast, which is like nice and soft light. And then there's days where it's like bright, cloudy. And you don't want that. Obviously, you have no control over it, and that's something I still need to learn to be better about handling. But it makes your photos look kind of weird, and it's very much like a top-down sort of light instead of like an all-over sort of like glowy light, where Overcast kind of gives you a feel of like, oh, everything is evenly lit and it's just very soft. There's no bad light anywhere necessarily. This like bright cloudy light kind of makes you feel like, oh, light is coming from just directly above, despite us being outside. This was at 6 o'clock, so it's definitely not noon, where that would make a whole lot of sense. I don't really know what to do about it, besides try to like just work on your contrast. If you have any tips on what to do when it's bright, cloudy out, how to shoot that, please let me know. Boom. I really like some motion blur. So right as they started exiting, I swapped my settings to f5.6, but I really wanted 1/80th of a second. Maybe a little slow, probably could have done like 1/25th or something, but I wanted some of these moments, and my favorite one is coming up. Really cool that they blew bubbles. Here, this one I really, really like. It's a little warm, Zach. There we go. But it's just so nice. Like, it's nice. It's a nice, happy one. And this one, just because it's so nice and kind of filmy, kind of dreamy, I'm going to leave it in color. Maybe this one if I find myself being content with it. Boom. These already did. Do I want to make these pinker? Yes. So if you have any questions, if you're watching this, down in the comments, I would love to hear them and get back to you. I've been a wedding photographer for 5 years now, and we're coming up on 5 years next month. And it's just the best, and I've learned a bunch. And I feel like I'm pretty familiar with all the little programs like Lightroom and Photoshop and Photo Mechanic and Premiere and Adobe Media Encoder, all that kind of jazz. I would love to be helpful. Closed on Sunday. Would this be better black and white? Ooh, maybe. There we go. Better photo. Reset. Weird. Epic. This is the groom and his sister. Cool. Now is, I think, every photographer's least favorite part, but I don't mind them. Family pictures. No. No. See, I'm just not stoked with the white balance is the thing. This was probably 5:45 p.m. No, 6:45 p.m. And so the sun was pretty much gone, especially behind the clouds. And so I very much was like, all right, see what we can do. So we worked it as good as we could. Did I take 100 family pictures? I may have taken 60, whatever, it's fine. Here we go. Speed round, speed round. You know, I'm pretty sure cameras, well, definitely not mine, okay. Well, no, it does. Even the 6D, the old Canon 6D, has an accelerometer in it. And I cannot tell you how epic I would think it was if they somehow added like firmware that could detect, as you're shooting a photo, how off it is, how like tilted, and then if they like auto cropped and corrected your photo. That would be awesome. Cause sure, you'd lose a little bit of the photo, but I cannot seem to take a level photo to save my life. Also, yes, I think these are a little warm. I want to do that on purpose to kind of give the illusion of it being daytime still. Also, I started to mention this, but part of the reason, like another reason I don't really crop so much, sure, I could make this into like a better photo if I crop it, but I don't know what they're gonna do with them, you know? Like if I put that there, nicer photo, but what if they decide they wanna print it as a square? Then they, the client, have to decide where on their bodies they cut, and then what if they do something like that? That's gonna be funny. I don't know. But inversely or conversely, if I give them this whole thing, then if they decide to crop, same thing as a square, they can keep all of them in. So for that reason, I pretty much just want to leave things uncropped so that the client and their family or friends or whoever's gonna wind up printing the photos can use them as much as possible for whatever they're thinking. I'm just thinking about the client, man. So right about here, I busted the flash out, and trick to this Not that these are the most like incredible photos in the world, right? I was doing what I could. And Gabe and Kristen, if you see this, I do think your photos are gorgeous. Boom. But no, what I was saying. Right about here's where I busted the flash out. And the trick with that, if you ever get stuck in a position where you're shooting essentially after dark, but you have to do like all these family pictures or even portraits, and I did all of their portraits with a lot of flash, so you'll see that in just a sec. So first time I did it, and I'm super proud of how it came out. But use your flash on like the lowest setting, and it will just barely help to fill things in. Because you don't want to make, I personally am not into like family photos where they're very flash heavy. You know, I wouldn't want to direct flash a whole family. But I did want to add like a little bit of emphasis to them. And so to do that, I turned my flash down to like 1/128th, which is as low as it can go, and just had it pointed straight at them, which helped to just make them stand out just a little bit. No more living for the culture, we nobody's slave. Stand up for my home. So if you're wondering how I am changing exposure without, and all of these things, let me talk you through my keyboard shortcuts as I'm working. So setup for everybody is minus and plus is whatever setting you have over here selected. So I have exposure selected. You can see it says modify exposure with plus and minus keys. So minus, plus. If you hold shift while you do that, it's plus a third or down a third. You can make it any one of these. If I need to do auto white balance, it doesn't work so well out here, but it works pretty good inside. Hit W, and that pulls up your little target neutral. Theoretically, his shirt is white, so let's see. See, but that's wrong, so it's not perfect. So anyway, so that's how I do the little white balance thing if I ever need to do one of those. Obviously the arrow keys to go between photos, and then how I get to my crop menu, you hit R, right? And that pulls up crop. And then like I already said, I keep my mouse hovered over the angle thing because that's the thing I'm changing most. And then the last thing, and this is just a for instance, if you hit R and then X, it swaps between landscape and portrait. Oh, cool. So, like I said, you can use that to switch between landscape and portrait, which is really helpful. Like in the picture of that dad earlier that I turned black and white because the mom was making a funny face, and cropped it in. I hit R and then I hit X. See, it just keeps cooling off, man. The closer it gets to dark, the cooler it gets inside. And the flash is a cool light, so it's gonna make that even more so. There. It's not perfect white balance, but it is a pretty photo, so we are all good. I use, okay, so, don't know what that was. So to select a bunch of photos, I already showed you about syncing photos, where you click your first one and your last one, hold shift while you do that, click, and then that selects everything in between it. And then if you hit Command Shift S, it pulls up synchronize. So I went ahead and did that. And then here's my favorite bit of this and how it is just so fast. To get back to only your active photo selected, you hit Command Shift D. And that deselects everything except for the one that's already up on your screen. If you want to deselect everything, you just hit Command D, but I don't, so I don't. And then you just carry on. Motion blur, boom, black and white. I think it might just be like a habit at this point to adjust the tilt on everything. Probably no one would notice or care if it wasn't perfect, or even like if I just left it alone from whatever I shot it at. But it is just a compulsion now, man. You can also hold Shift while hitting left or right to select the one in that direction. So just I'll show you, look at the bottom, Shift, right, and then it grabs a couple of them. And that's really helpful for doing the whole synchronized thing. If you only have to grab a couple and you want to go ahead and sync those up without having to move your mouse. A little too much Flashback, but we're working it. Little green, Zach. Hey, that's me. With the groom and Ray, my pastor. He's my student pastor, but it's semantics. And my good friend Taylor, who's the videographer, and epic mode. What a good bunch of guys. Oh, wow, who's that guy on the right? He's so spunky. Ooh, wow. Cool. There we go. So now we're out of the family pictures, and it has been like 30 minutes, and we made it through like 100 photos, which is baller. So this is obviously way too cool. You didn't see that face. So this is just kind of like a cheeky photo. Let's see what happens if I go to transform and hit auto. Ooh, there we go. Cool. So let me go ahead and sync these next couple. Check all. Hope you can hear my mouse. It's a little ASMR. Just ASMR things. I'm gonna stop in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Wrong choice. Brother of the bride drinking the Corona. Not too bad, not too bad. Good luck, Zach. White balance in this. Ooh, that's way too green. Okay, start with just one setting, Zach. Black and white? Somebody say black and white? Oh, wow. Wow, beautiful. Black and white saves all wrongs. Okay, I'm going to stop in 1 minute, but the last thing that I want to show you real quick. She had some flashback going on. Not my fault, man. I have to use flash. Makeup artist, get some better powder, Madison said. I was told what can cause flashback. But trick for this real quick. This is a combo breaker. Hit K to get to your adjustment brush tool. And then what you're gonna do, you can ignore this, 0, and then we'll turn our highlights down like 15-ish. And then we'll turn the warmth up 10. Sometimes I'll also turn the exposure up 0.10, just compensate. And then we're just gonna brush. And we might even adjust the highlights a little more. Here, I'm gonna start over. Because this is a genius thing, but I did it wrong. I brushed her whole face, man. Let me get in closer. Focus on the highlights, Zach. And this is not to say people can't have glowy skin or highlights, but the way it's reading as white instead of like glowy is just, it's like flashback. And the only reason I'm like positive that that's kind of what I'm working with is because earlier in the day, the matron of honor had some powdery flashback skin. So, small improvement, subtle. Try it out. Tell your friends. I'm gonna go ahead and stop for today to go ahead and get some lunch, and I'm gonna keep editing photos later today. But gonna go ahead and hop off this recording. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for watching, and I hope maybe you learned something, or at least you enjoyed the ride. And hope you have a great, epic day. Stay epic. Dinosaur Logo.